Welcome to the Every Brain is Different podcast. It is Lauren and I here with you today. And we are talking about thriving during the holidays with your neurodivergent child, because I know that the holidays can be very overwhelming for children and their parents. And so we are hopefully going to give you some tips to help you navigate the overwhelm and have a good time and make some memories.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The first thing I want to talk about was doing things during sensory friendly hours. So a lot of places nowadays, like for Santa visits or for just different things that you want to do. I can't think of anything else in my head right now that you would want to do this for, but especially Santa visits. Um, they have sensory friendly hours where there's not as much going on. You make an appointment, you go in, you do the Santa visit. You don't have to wait in the long line, and they might dim the lights. They do a lot of different things to make it more sensory friendly. And so that is one thing that you can do.
I think some stores also have like sensory friendly hours as well. Just a little side note, I mean, outside of the holidays, that's a thing. And I know there's movie theaters that also do sensory friendly activities as or friendly movies, I guess, sensory friendly movies. So um,
Yes,
why not Santa visit as
absolutely.
well?
Yeah. So if your kid wants to go shopping and they don't want to do online shopping, then they definitely have sensory friendly hours. I know that Dr. Temple Grandin was talking about Walmart sensory friendly hours for shopping, and other stores have that too. And then, yes, the movie theaters have sensory friendly hours. So if there is a movie that maybe you want to watch, they have a time where it's not quite as loud, the lights aren't turned off, they stay on, and you are able to move about and you're not as looked down upon if you were to move about during a normal showing. Um, yes. And then there are sensory friendly concerts that some bands put on, where I know that you can even go up on stage and they will show you their instruments and you can just walk around, you can make noise. It's not amplified. And so, yes, there's definitely lots of different options for sensory friendly things going on.
Yeah, I was
And
just looking into it and trying to find it.
yeah, you just have to call ahead, and people don't know that you want sensory friendly hours if you don't tell them. So you might call a business or something and just say, "Hey, do you have sensory friendly hours?" And if they say no, be like, "Well, maybe you should. maybe
Something
maybe
to
you can
consider.
get those. Something to look into, something to consider." Because if there's enough demand for it and it will bring people into stores, people will do it. Like, they want you to come into their store, they want you to spend money, they want you to have a good time in their store. They don't want your child to have meltdowns, they don't want you to have meltdowns, and so whatever they can do to, mitigate that response, I'm sure that they would be willing to do it.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
if they're not gonna support you in that, then you don't wanna shop there anyway. So, you
Exactly.
don't wanna support them anyway, they're not gonna support you. That is my wisdom of the day. But the next thing that we want to talk about was to create safe foods for your kids. So I know in my family, at least, like both sides of my family, we go to this large, what's it called when you bring potluck? We go to a large potluck, everybody brings food, and my kids don't like most of it. So I make sure that there is food there that they're going to eat, and I don't force them to eat great Aunt Norma's crazy, you know, salad or whatever. I will be right back.
Weird casserole. I also I think Thanksgiving is probably not the time to be forcing new foods. So
Yes, definitely. So I know I get a lot of flack from people about this that they're like, well, your kids need to eat their food. They need to eat their vegetables. They need to eat this. They need to eat that. I mean, kids are already overwhelmed at Thanksgiving, at Christmas. They're already overwhelmed. They're in a huge, well, okay, in my family, we get together with my dad's extended family, my mom's extended family, my husband's extended family, and there's like so many people. It's wild. But they're already stressed. And this is not the time to be like, you will eat all your food and you will eat all your vegetables and
Yes.
you will eat a balanced diet. No, give them
Not a
some
battle.
grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you wanna fight that battle, I mean, I guess that's up to you, but in my head, it's not worth it. Just give them their safe foods, let them eat, let them enjoy it, and don't worry about them eating all the healthy stuff, like, 1 day out of the year, or a couple days because it's different holidays, but
Yeah.
yeah. I know I've had family members who have been like, "They're not eating all their food." And I'm like, "I don't care. I don't care. They're not gonna like this day is not going to determine their overall health. It's not going to
Yeah.
determine their overall well-being. Like it's 1 day." And honestly, I do this at Sunday dinners because we go to my parents' house almost every Sunday for Sunday dinner. And my family will be like, "Well, they didn't eat any vegetables." And I'm like, "I don't care. They're already stressed. They're around a lot of people right now. We're not gonna deal with it." And if it's 1 meal out of the whole week, I don't
Yes.
care. I don't care. So that
And
yeah.
why make it uncomfortable for everyone to sit and watch when, these are supposed to be joyous times with family and, like, do you
Yeah.
really wanna sit and watch me have a losable battle with a toddler? That
Yeah,
doesn't sound
yeah.
like a good time to me.
Yeah, or even, like, if your kid is 10 or whatever, like and it's up to you, these are just suggestions, but this is what I found works for me, like, my kids are already stressed when we go see family. They like seeing family, but it's just a stressful time, and so if I can cause them less stress by just letting them eat what's safe to them, totally worth it to me.
I agree. I don't have
Uh
kids, but I agree.
Yeah. The next thing is designating a safe sensory room or just a space or anything like that. So if your kid gets overwhelmed with all the people or just the changes in their routine, because holidays are definitely a change in their routine, even if it's a good thing, even if they're excited about it, the change in routine can cause anxiety, can cause overwhelm, and make them behave like they're not having a good time or make them do things that they wouldn't typically do because they're overwhelmed and they're anxious about it. So when my son was, I don't know how old he was like 5. He well, up until, like, a few years ago, he did not like being around a lot of cousins. He had 2 cousins that he liked, and he liked being around them, but then all the other cousins came, and they got around him, and they overwhelmed him, and so I let him use my phone. I just gave him my phone, and he could go off in the corner and just do his thing and just chill out and just feel safe, you know? And then my other cousins got mad at me because 'cause they're like, "Well, we don't let our kids use our phone." I'm like, "I don't really care." Like, my kid is in crisis right now. Like, your kid is overwhelming him because they're all up in his face, and they weren't doing anything bad. They were just inviting him to play, but they were inviting him to play by being like, "Come play with us, come play with us, come play with us." Like, why don't you wanna come play? Why don't you wanna do this? Why don't you wanna do that? Just come with us." And that was very overwhelming to him, and he needed to go and be alone and do something that was regulating to his system before he had a meltdown.
I think too with that as well, because I think there are parents out there who are like, well, they're never gonna learn or blah, blah, blah. They can't always have this. And you're true, that's right. But at the end of the day, like that's not a teaching moment for kids like this because they're not learning and processing if they are so stressed out and full of anxiety and things like that. So that's a conversation you can have later with your child, like, hey, I know, when we're overwhelmed, blah, blah, blah. there will be some times where we might have to use coping skills and things like that, but in the moment is not necessarily the time, and also other people's opinions do not matter on your parenting. If you are a parent, you parent how you need to parent. So,
Yes, definitely. I know I was talking to a parent, and in music therapy, we do things that are uncomfortable to the child in a controlled environment where they already feel safe, they feel like less anxiety, and then we might do something to help them learn. So when they're in a different environment and that thing happens, they're able to use the coping skills. But we're in a controlled environment. So if I see that they're getting too anxious, or something isn't going right and they need a break, we can take a break. And then they can slowly learn those coping skills that they need. But when you're in the moment and they're already overwhelmed and they're already almost ready to have a meltdown, that is not the time to be like, we're going to use your coping skills that you haven't quite mastered yet to so that I don't get judged for being a quote bad parent, you know?
and that's the thing is, like, you're not necessarily doing it to help your kid, you're doing it to, like, appease other people because you don't want that judgment, and
Yeah.
let them be judgy, okay? They're not good people. They're gonna be that judgy about I'm sure they're good people, but you
Yeah.
don't.
I know what you mean. Like they just don't understand the needs of your child. And that's okay. They don't need to. And so when I gave my son the phone a few years ago, his cousins kept following him around. And I finally said, "You need to leave him alone. I understand you wanna play. I understand you wanna use the phone, but this is his time." And so then we went into, like, a quieter space in the house, and I told them, I'm like, "Here's what you can go do. He's gonna take a break." And one time, he took a break, and he sat behind the couch, and he sat under a bunch of, like, weighted they weren't weighted blankets, but there was a bunch of, like, coats that he just sat under because he needed that weight, and everyone was like, "Why aren't you making him come out and play? Why aren't you making him do this? Why are you letting him sit behind the couch? Like, he needs to get to know everybody." I'm like, "No, he doesn't." And I'm making my family sound awful. They are not really. Like, this is like 2 instances when I just remember it very clearly that they were like, "Why are you letting him do that?" And I was choosing to let him do that, and they weren't agreeing with it. Usually when I do things, they're just like, "Oh, you do you," you know? But it is hard when you feel that judgment from other people, even if they're not, like, outwardly saying they judge you, like, you feel like they're judging you, and that's really hard.
For sure.
Yeah. The next thing on our list is to pre-plan social interactions. So you can prepare your child, like we've been saying, going to grandma's house might be very overwhelming, but you can prepare them. Maybe you get pictures of everyone that will be there. You're like, "Oh, we're gonna see this aunt, and we're gonna see this uncle, and we're gonna see this cousin, and we're gonna see grandma, and we're gonna see grandpa, and we're gonna see this person and that person." Whatever. You can get pictures of everyone so that they know who's gonna be there. They know what to expect. And then un if something does go not according to plan, that's okay. And because they're prepared for the other things, when something is out of whack and it doesn't happen the way that they think it's going to happen, they're better able to cope with it because they're prepared for the overall situation. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, they might still have a meltdown for something that's unexpected, but I think in my experience, they're more prepared to handle the unexpected things when they're prepared for what is going to happen. So you can say, "We're going to grandma's house. We're going to see this aunt, this uncle, this cousin, whatever. And then we're going to open presents. And when we open presents, you might not get what you want. You might get something unexpected, and that's okay. Like, it's okay. This is not something that you have to keep for your life. It's not something that you have to, like, you don't have to keep it." And what happens in our family is one of my kids really is really like not weird about presents, but if he doesn't get what he wants and someone else gets something that he wants, he will kind of have a meltdown. And so you can tell them, you can prepare them and say, you might not get something that you want. Your cousin might get something that you really want. And that's okay. And we're just going to have to, move through it. And sometimes when that happens, the other cousin will be like, "Oh, I don't want this. Do you want it? Do you want to trade?" Because he likes the thing that my kid has, you know? And so you can tell your kid, you can ask if you can trade, but if they say no, that's their present and that's okay. And so that's a really hard thing for some kids to deal with. So that's just something else that you can do, like to prepare them for the social interactions is just saying, this is what we're going to do. Here are some things that might happen that you don't like, but here's what we're gonna do if that happens and you don't like it. And it's
Yeah.
okay to cry, like, it's okay, but it's not okay to scream, and it's not okay to yell, and it's not okay to, like, say rude things, you know? But
Yeah.
you can cry or whatever.
I think also with kind of planning for social interactions, and I know just me personally, and yes, and like I don't like to be touched, I don't like to be like hugged, and that's holidays we're visiting grandma and grandpa, and they want to hug the kids, and I think having if your kid is like sensitive to that, having conversations with family members and other people like, hey, no, you're gonna be super excited, but like please ask them if you want a hug or things like that, and just having some conversations with family members too to help them be more successful, in these interactions as well, like, "Hey, this is what I told him is a tentative schedule, like, I know things happen, but can we stick to this so there's not too many unknowns," or things like that, and I don't know, I think that can be helpful to have conversations with the family members that are going to be there, um like, kind of going both ways a little bit can be helpful, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think we focus so much on preparing the child and, like prepping them and coaching them and all this stuff when really we need to be talking to the other people that are going to be there too. So, like if your child does open a toy that they don't like and they start crying, uncle's not gonna come over and be like, "Don't cry, why are you being such a baby? Blah, 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 blah," you know? So you can tell that person like, "Hey, he might cry. That's okay. That's okay in our house. We're not gonna tell him to stop. We're not gonna tell him that he's a baby. We're not gonna do any of that." And yeah, just talking to people and saying, "This is what I told him is gonna happen. If we can stick to that, that'd be great. If not, just let me know and I'll prepare him for something else," you know?
Yeah.
That I love that. Yes, talk to other people.
And
Yes.
yeah, it needs to go a little bit both ways so that there's kind of expectations on both sides so that both sides can be successful and enjoy whatever the holiday is, so
Yeah, absolutely. And that leads into our final thing, which is flexible holiday traditions. So, if your family has a tradition that you do and your child just can't do it, be flexible with that. And that's okay. You want to avoid overstimulation, you want to avoid meltdowns. And so maybe, your family gets together for 3 hours at grandma's house, but your child can only be there for an hour. That's okay. He was there for an hour. Or maybe he can only be with the family for an hour and then he spends the next 2 hours in a bedroom by himself, decompressing. That's
yeah.
okay. Just be flexible with your traditions, be flexible with your kid, be flexible with yourself, and just give everyone grace.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line, I think if you want to enjoy your time during the holidays and with family, to not be so stringent and let go of some expectations that you think you might have and just take it for what it is, prepare as best you can. But at the end of the day, whatever happens is gonna happen, and that's okay. Um, and to just enjoy that time that you have together. So
Yeah, for sure. And so, just as a recap, the things we went over were, use sensory friendly hours, call the store ahead, like call the venue, whatever. Some people have sensory friendly rooms like at venues that you can use. So call them. If they don't have them, maybe suggests that they get them. That would be cool. The more awareness that people have. And
Better.
then the next thing is create, safe foods. Bring your kids safe food. If you know that their food is gonna be there, then that's great. Like whenever we go to family events, I know we're gonna have rolls and I know we're gonna have meat. So I know my kids will be fed. Like, I know those 2 things will be there, so I know that they will eat those 2 things, and we can go from there. If they wanna try new foods, that's cool. If they don't, that's fine too. And then the third thing is designate a sensory area that your child can go to if they need to decompress, if they need to get away from people, like that's okay. And then the fourth thing is pre-plan social interactions, prepare your child, prepare your family for the interactions, let everyone know the expectations. And then if things don't go according to plan, have some coping skills ready so you can help your child cope as needed, and also so you can help your family cope as needed if they don't like what you're doing. Well, you can just tell them to grow up. But
Use your coping skills.
yeah, I'll be like, use your coping skills because something unexpected happened that you didn't think would happen.
There you go. I love that.
Yeah. Then the last thing is be flexible. Be flexible with your holiday traditions. Be flexible with your kid. Be flexible with yourself. Be flexible with your family. Give everyone grace. It will be okay. So, we hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. Right now, we are opening up the doors for our parenting program to help get you through the holiday season. So, if you need some extra help, if you want to come get some ideas, the program consists of a go at your own pace, like videos. There's 8 modules that talk about different positive parenting strategies. They talk about self-care strategies. They talk about the reasons behind your child's behavior, the characteristics of neurodivergent people, and different things like that. And then it also includes a 3-month membership in our neurodivergent parenting program. And that just includes twice a month we meet, and you can come and ask questions. You can get some positive parenting strategies from me, anyone else that's there, and then just get the extra support that you need. We have a group for the in-between times when we're not having a call that you can post things in and get answers to your questions right away. So if you're interested in that, you can go to everybrainisdifferent.com.
I love it.
And yeah, we'll see you all next week.